Good morning. Welcome back to the Red Mic. Happy Wednesday. Glad you're here. Today's Red Mic message: be curious, not judgmental. One of my favorite scenes in the Ted Lasso series is not about soccer, it's about darts. And if you've seen the show, you know the scene. Ted is playing Rupert, basically the emperor, the evil emperor of Star Wars. He's playing Rupert in a high stakes dart match. Rupert had already spent the entire evening treating Ted like an idiot and being very disrespectful to Rebecca. He was acting like Ted was this country bumpkin who didn't belong in the room. Rupert assumes that he knows exactly who Ted is, and that's Rupert's problem. He assumes. Now, before throwing, by the way, and if this spoils it for you, I'm sorry. It's been out for a while, but before throwing the winning dart, Ted explains that everyone had everyone had underestimated him his entire life, and they all had one thing in common: they were judgmental, not curious. Going back to the old Walt Whitman thing that says, "Be curious, not judgmental." If they'd been curious, they would have asked questions. If they'd been curious, they would have learned something. Then Ted reveals that he played darts every Sunday from age 10 to age 16 with his late father. Rupert didn't know, and Rupert never asked either. Then he throws the winning dart, but before he does, he goes, barbecue sauce. Boom. Game over. That scene applies to a lot more than darts. It applies to leadership, parenting, marriage, friendships, and honestly, how we think about ourselves. Because we can become Rupert when it comes to our own lives. We make assumptions. We pass judgment. We think we know the whole story. I'm not smart enough. I'm too old. I'm too far behind. I'm not leadership material. I'm failing. Case closed. Verdict delivered. But what if we got curious instead? What if we asked a few more questions before we reach a conclusion? Many of the emotions that we work hardest to avoid are actually trying to teach us something: fear, anger, grief, regret. We distract ourselves. We stay busy. We scroll. We convince ourselves that we're fine. But emotions don't disappear because we ignore them. They wait. And eventually they come out somewhere. The truth is that difficult emotions aren't signs that something is wrong. They're signs, usually, that something matters. You don't build a meaningful career without stress, a strong marriage without conflict. You don't raise children without a whole lot of worry. And you don't accomplish worthwhile things without a few setbacks along the way. Discomfort is not proof that you're failing. It's often proof that you're trying. It's often proof that you're doing it right. Like when I used to teach my kids, first week or two of practice, I would show them how to get into a stance. And invariably somebody would say, "Well, it hurts, coach." And then I'd say, "Yeah, because you're doing it right." That's why curiosity matters. Instead of saying or feeling, "I'm angry," ask, "Why am I angry?" Instead of saying, "I'm afraid," ask, "What am I afraid of?" Instead of saying, "I'm failing," ask, "What am I learning, or what can I learn?" Because the questions are going to change everything. Curiosity creates understanding. Judgment ends the conversation. And that doesn't just apply to ourselves, it applies to other people too. I am increasingly more convinced that everybody is carrying something that you can't see. Whether it's the short-tempered coworker, the difficult neighbor, the friend who disappeared, the person who always seems angry. People are fighting battles they never talk about. Most people are carrying burdens they never post online or share anywhere. That doesn't excuse bad behavior on their part, but it does remind us that there's usually more to the story. The people who are quickest to judge are often the people who know the least. They've already decided that they understand, so they've stopped learning. And that's what happened to Rupert. He thought he had Ted figured out. He was so confident in his assumptions that he never got curious. And because he wasn't curious, he missed the most important information in the room. And I think we all do that more than we like to admit, with our spouses, our kids, coworkers, friends, and sometimes, again, ourselves. The lesson really isn't about darts. It's about refusing to assume that we already know the whole story. Maybe it's about asking one more question, listening a little longer, looking a little deeper, being curious before getting judgmental. When you can finally see yourself clearly, you become a lot better at seeing everybody else. And when you really start seeing people, something changes. You lead better, you love better, you forgive better, you understand better. So the next time you're tempted to make an assumption about somebody else or about yourself, just remember Rupert at that dartboard, certain that he knew exactly who he was dealing with, certain he knew how the story would end. But then remember the one thing that he asked for, well, the one thing that he forgot to do: ask a question, be curious, not judgmental. Because, well, otherwise life may be trying to teach you something important while you're standing there missing the entire point completely. Barbecue sauce. And that's today's Red Mike message. Hope you found it interesting or helpful. I hope you're able to use some of these ideas in place in your own life. That's why I do them. These Red Mike messages, of course, are leadership and life lessons picked up from 25 years as a public servant, 16 years as a youth football coach and scouting volunteer, and 10 years as a mediocre athlete with far more heart than actual physical ability. So again, remember, assumptions are the enemy of understanding. Emotions can be your teachers, not your enemies. And the same grace you extend to others, you should also extend it to yourself. I hope you have a great day. Go out and knock the cover off the ball. I love you guys. Thanks for being here. Please give me a like, a follow, and a share. I'll see you again tomorrow. And as always, don't forget, life is short. Drink bourbon.